Well, I'm back in San Diego, California. As you all know, I was on vacation, but it did not stop me doing what I like doing, is reviewing all these events that took place. I want to apologize to everyone because I was unable to see, I did not see AEW Rampage or um, NXT Level Up. There are some events that I'm kind of a little behind due to the vacation time, but I'm going to do what I got right now for everyone. I'm going to review ChocoPro, two of them, 234 and 235, that took place back to back. And of course, we cannot forget New Japan Pro Wrestling with Dominion. And of course, we got some news updates. I believe everybody is going to enjoy hearing this. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted WrestleZone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So, let's begin with ChocoPro 234. This is one of the most interesting events. As you know, Emi Sakura has been back for quite some time, ever since she came back from AEW. We don't know for sure when she'll be back, but it's great to see her. So our first match, it's Sayaka Obihiro versus, tag team match. We have Sayaka Obihiro and Antonio Honda to take on Masahiro Takanashi and Emi Sakura. Now keep in mind, uh, Masa and Emi, they were a very cohesive tag team for many years. It's great to see them reunite. So this will be put through the test to see how much ring rust these two has had ever since they have been teaming together. If you guys remember, one of the last matches took place about maybe a year, like the year or two ago. This is when before Emi made the choice that she was going to be on it, leaving for about a year to AEW. So it was a pretty good match, very oppressive, and it did show that they're still cohesive. But it was, of course, Sayaka Obihiro who took the fall, and that gave Emi Sakura and Masahiro Takanashi the win on this one. Next up, we have, of course, Chiko Shikawa and Yuna Mizumori taking on the Best Bros. As you know, the Best Bros have been teaming up for quite some time. This is nothing unusual between them, but it was a pretty good match, I have to say. Best Bros haven't. They're still one of the best tag teams in ChocoPro, even though they're not the tag champions. Like, we hope to see them again. But it was very impressive. But it was, of course, Balanaki who picked up the victory by applying a somewhat of a leg lock onto Chiko Shikawa, and she had no other choice but to tap out. Now, our Junkin tournament, as you know, we have, of course, um, Balanaki, everybody who were in their tag team matches faced off their partners. We have Sayaka versus Antonio. Sayaka did not make it. Antonio out. Emi Sakura versus Masa. Masa made it through. Chiko Shikawa versus Yuna. She made it. Balin Mei Shiruga won against Balin. Apparently she had some tea or something, that kept her going. But I did not anticipate Mei Shiruga making all the way towards the end. It was very surprisingly for me to see her. She went through everyone, including Antonio Honda. So I was like, wow, pretty amazed. I liked it. Now let's move on to the other one, which is 235, I believe. This one is a very interesting one. We have Chiko Shikawa and Shin Suzuki taking on Yuna Mizumori and Balanaki. Now keep in mind, later on this month, Shin Suzuki does have a title shot against Balinaki for the Super Asia Championship. Now, keep in mind, Shin Suzuki did not pin Balinaki in any way necessary for an opportunity. Balinaki requested this match last Wednesday as as a favor. As you know, he wants to give Shin Suzuki an opportunity, but the match itself was great. But it was in fact Yuna Mizumori who pinned Chiko Shikawa with the Superman pin, and it was over right from there. However, Balinaki confronted Shin Suzuki, informing him if he knows what he's getting himself into. Now, keep in mind, Shin Suzuki does not have that much of experience being in matches involving titles, so this is going to be put himself to the test. So, basically, he may have be a good wrestler, but the question does remain: does he have what it takes, or does he know what he's getting himself? Did he bit off more than he can chew? We know he's very growing so much, but we'll see where they're gonna go. Now, our main event, we have Dragon Ninja, Sayuri, and Shonshiru taking on the Killer Queens, consistent of student and teacher Mei Shruga and Emi Sakura. So this was a very interesting match because, as you know, if you guys ever seen Emi Sakura and how she behaves, where do you think her traits come from? She got where she passes on the traits. It's basically Mei Shruga inherited those type of traits onto Emi Sakura, and they kind of got away with it. But however, it was, of course, Emi Sakura who picked up the victory. No, Mei Shruga who picked up the victory onto Sarui, putting on the submission, giving Sarui the chance to tap out. However, the Jonkin tournament was another different story, so I thought it was a really interesting one. However, they like instead of the previous Jonkin, it's mixed match. Balinaki made it through. Neither did a Chonchiru, Shin Suzuki. But the one person who did make it through was Emi Sakura. As you know, she won the chocolate and win. So we don't know when the next ChocoPro events will take place, but I'm excited for the next one. So let's see what happens. But right now, let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion. Okay, we are now have New Japan Pro Wrestling with Dominion, one of the biggest events during the summer. Um, this is a very recognizable event for many New Japan fans, especially here in the U.S. This took place recently. Let's talk about it. Our first opening match, we have the United Empire, Aaron Henare, Francesco Cara, and TJP, being accompanied by Great Khan and a boxer. I don't know if you guys heard of him, named Jesse Vargas. Uh, Turns out that he is now a member of course, of the United Empire. However, their opponents is none other than 6 or 9 Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi, along with Hiroshi Tenzan, and they're being accompanied by a familiar face, Manabu Nakashima. If you guys remember him, he was this old school veteran wrestler who retired maybe a year or two ago. He's good friends with Tenzan. It was great to see him, but the match itself was crazy. Now, keep in mind, this particular match, there's a reason why. As you know, Francesco Cara and TJP, they have their sights set on the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. As you know, Francesco and TJP were unsuccessful to win the Best of the Super Juniors, but it was Heron and Are with the full Nelson lock that put away Tenzan, but he refuses to let go once the bell was rung. It took many people to remove them, but Heron and Are has completely lost his damn mind. He used to admire Tenzan, but now he just decided to dismantle him. Our next match, we have Lij, Bushi, Naito, and Hiromu taking on Bullet Club, Ace Austin, who is the newest member, El Fantasmo, and Taiji Shimuri. Now, keep in mind, Taiji Shimuri is the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and his opponent that he will face at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm assuming, will be none other than Hiromu Takahashi. Now, keep in mind, this is not the first time those two have ever confronted. They have confronted each other in the past. There's been moments where Hiromu come on top or Taiji Shimori, but we'll see what happens then. But one way or the other, Taiji Shimori will never allow this title to be dropped out. As you know, Bullet Club has been building up momentum recently, but it was, of course, um, uh, the Bullet Club who won this victory. I believe it was Taiji Shimori who put away, I don't remember who, but it was a direct message to Hiromu, as you know, to ensure that he knows he has his that he is gunning for him, but we'll see what happens. Now, I don't know whose idea was this. We have Doc Gallows of Bullet Club taking on Chaos's Toru Yano. I thought this match was funny, but as you know, once again, as Kevin Kelly would say, my monitor went out. Yes, folks, you know what that means. It means Yano got away with it by low blowing Doc Gallows. I'm sure he'll get payback for that. There's no secret that that's what he wants. So we'll see where they're going to go. Now, our next match is a title match. We have the Never Openweight 6-Man Tag Team Championships. We have Suzuki Gun, Kanemaru, Despy, and Zack Sabre Jr. taking on the House of Torture. But however, they were fully prepared with the House of Torture. As you know, these guys have been known to sneak attack their opponents to soften them up, ensure that they would win. However, things got escalated. As you know, Big Toe got himself involved on every occasion, but the one thing that stood out was the fact that, of course, it was Sho who put a wrench in his shin pads that allowed him to retain the title. But the real question is, but in the post-match, Zack Sabre Jr. called out the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Now, I know many people definitely would want to see this and the Forbidden Door, but that's going to be one hell of a match. Our next title match is the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have the United Empire, Jeff Cobb and Khan, versus the Bullet Club's General's Jewels, consistent of Chase Owens and Balak Fale. Now, keep in mind, the previous title holders were Khan and Cobb, and they lost them to, of course, the Bullet Club in Fukuoka. As you guys remember, that was an important day for them, which is Bullet Club's birthday. And basically, the idea is that they have the right to chance. However, the one person who suffered the consequences was Chase Owens when Jeff Cobb applied the Tour of the Island 1, 2, 3, and they regained the titles back. As you know, the United Empire are determined to bring momentum back. But keep in mind, they believe that Bullet Club had their time, but I don't think Chase Owens sees it that way. I mean, Jay White would see it. We know they will regain those titles back one way or the other. But however, the celebration was messed up by none other than Rocky Romero. Now keep in mind, Cobb and Khan attacked FTR and Roppongi Vice during the ROH tag team title match in AEW. And of course, they ruined everything. They made the decision. As you know, FTR and Trent Beretta called them out, except Cobb and Khan were nowhere to be found. Ospreay showed up, surprised everyone, and of course he brought Aussie Open, Mark Fletcher, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis, and Aaron Henare was there too. They came up short and on Rampage, but however, Rocky decided that he wants to take his retribution onto them on their face, but sooner or later they will get their retribution. Keep in mind, we know FTR does have their sights set on the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Now, I wouldn't be surprised that if FTR want those titles, they would definitely be in the run for at the World Tag League. That is the last thing I think that the United Empire, Khan and Cobb would want. Now, they did announce for the G1 Climax 32 participants, but that will be in the news updates, so I will put that up soon. Now, as you know, we have the Forbidden Door coming up. As you know, we have a brand new interim AEW World Champion. We have, of course, Jon Moxley. Now, As you know, we were originally supposed to have CM Punk versus Tanahashi, but because Punk got injured, we have this. But Goto decided to take an advantage of this. He wants to get his hands on Moxley. Keep in mind, this took place several years ago. It was Goto who defeated him badly, and basically he wants to send him packing once again. But however, Tanahashi, as you know, some people say he is the reason why the Forbidden Door should be broken, and that's how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised that, of course, what's his name, Jay White and Adam Cole would say that they're the reasons the Forbidden Door happened. But no, it was in fact Tanahashi. Keep in mind, it was Jericho who put the AEW World Title on the line at Wrestle Kingdom a couple years ago, back in 2020, before the pandemic hit hard. But it was a pretty good match. Now, some people would have expected Goto, but I think everybody here probably would like to see the Tanahashi, because he was the real guy who started it all, and I think that's what plays out. Now, our next match we have is the KoPW title in a 10-minute unlimited pinfall scramble. Now, the rules is this: you have 10 minutes. You have to make the most out of the pinfalls in 10 minutes. So basically, this is something different away. Instead of making 30, the first person who makes 30 pinfalls, now this is reducing who gets the most in 10 minutes. So it's kind of like an Iron Man match, but different. Now, some people would say this was a very interesting matchup, but I find it really cool. But I don't know. I feel like Shingo was gonna walk out for some odd reason. I mean, he's been a strong wrestler, and I think that's what made him different. But I was happy. So he was able to win by 11 pinfalls, while Tashi was close to 10, up to 10. So he was 1 point away. He could have had two, but no. Now we got the Never Openweight Championship on the line. Two members who founded, two people who founded the Bullet Club. We had, of course, Carl Anderson, who just recently rejoined thanks to the catalyst Jay White, and Tama Tonga, who's also an original member who was betrayed by those who thought he can touch. Now, as you know, many people did believe, as you know, that Tama is now ready to go as a singles competitor. We known him as a tag team specialist, but him at winning this title, it was pretty good. However, this became the story: who had the better gun stun? Is it Tama or is it Carl Anderson? But however, because of this, Doc Gallows interfered. Basically, that's what caused it. But it was in fact Carl Anderson who won the title by applying his gun stun, giving him the advantage to win the title. But keep in mind, we know Tama Tonga could be one day the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Now, our next match is the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, which was vacant. But however, Juice Robinson, who is out of action due to having problems with his appendix, refuses to hand over the title. So they went over to get this match. Now, Sonata issued this challenge, and once again, Will Ospreay, who's been, sorry to say this to all the fans, who's been crying like a little bitch all this time. Keep in mind, he thinks that Sonata was pathetic, that he should have just handed him over the title. But however, that doesn't work. But it was supposed to be Tanahashi and Will Ospreay to win this title, but it did not go exactly like that. It was in fact Tanahashi who won it, and then of course we saw Juice Robinson and all this and that. So there's been a lot of confusion with this whole thing. But Will Ospreay was able to overcome the wrestling by applying the Stormbreaker onto Sonata, becoming the IWGP. But however, I don't think Juice Robinson he feels like, hey, I pinned you. You had no business being in this match. He warned him, told him, you're supposed to be in the back of the line. So, but since he's not there, that's how it is. So Will Ospreay is not happy the fact that he did not get the title, but we'll see what happens then. Now our main event is the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship between the Catalyst, the Switchblade Jay White versus the Rainmaker Okada. Now keep in mind, Jay White, as you know, has reinvented the Bullet Club even better than it was before. However, He wants this title so badly, and it did. However, Ghetto did get involved on certain occasions, but it was the switchblade, the running blade or switchblade that sealed the deal for Jay White to become a, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and he proclaimed himself to be the real Grand Slam winner. As you know, he's been IWGP United States Champion, never Openweight Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Heavyweight Champion, and now this one. But he also sent a message to Hangman Page saying that he can have Okada, and besides, he's never going to have the title. And I believe he will, because I think New Japan is going to match this match up. But however, there is one person that's not going to take this lightly, and that would be Adam Cole. But I have the distinct feeling that Adam Cole will be stabbed in the back by Jay White. I don't know. I feel like there's two egos in the mix. That's what I always believe in. But we'll see what happens then. I believe that's pretty much it, what we got with New Japan. I believe it's time to move on with our last thing, news updates. Okay, here are some of the news updates. I mentioned before during the New Japan review, the G1 Climax 30 is back for number 32. Now, the biggest surprise is instead of having 20 competitors, we're going to have 28, and they have been announced. We have Kazuchika Okada, Tama Tonga, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tom Lawler. Yes, you heard me right, Tom Lawler. Jonah. That's right, guys. The top dogs in there. Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, Tomohiro Ishii, Jeff Cobb, Great-O-Khan, Will Ospreay, Aaron Henare, Shingo Takagi, Sanada, Tetsuya Naito, Jay White, Evil, Kenta, Yujiro Takahashi, Balak Fale, Chase Owens, Juice Robinson, almost the full force of Bullet Club, Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and the return of the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, David Finlay, and of course, for the first time ever, we have El Phantasmo. Now, some of you are saying, wait a minute, isn't he a junior heavyweight? He is, but looks like he's now making the jump to heavyweight. And I think that's the reason Ace Austin has joined. As you know, it's not uncommon for junior heavyweights to jump ships to heavyweights. We already seen that with Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi. Kushida wants to do the same thing, but we'll see what happens then. Now, this is a much interesting development coming from W. As you know, it's been told that Troy Donovan, also known as Two Dimes, was released from WWE. Now, I know we get tired and we get frustrated with WWE making these godforsaken releases, but this one is a very interesting one. According to them, the reasons of his release were issues pertaining their policies. Okay, now I'm not gonna make a big fuss of it, but this one is a bit more left field for me for very obvious reasons. Like, what policies that he broke? There's no specifications why. This was reported by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, so there is no indications what did he do wrong. Now, recently there was reports saying that if the NXT talent doesn't get shaking things up within 90 days, they're out. But what policies that Troy Donovan did, to me that feels a little shady. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, we get frustrated with the whole creative process, the budget cuts, that kind of ticks us off, but this doesn't make no sense. And of course, they're saying that he can return within a year. That, to me, makes no absolute sense. What is it that they release him for? That doesn't make no sense. We know he's been on a roll recently, but It's kind of weird, but we'll find out hopefully in the future. Now, for those who know this, recently in Japan for the Cyber Fight event. Now, those who don't know what the hell is Cyber Fight, well, is an event presented that has a joint event with DDT, Pro Wrestling Noah, Tokyo Pro, and Gambari. And recently they had Rob Van Dam. He teamed up with the members of Stinger, mostly from um, Yoshinari Ogawa and Hayata, which they defeated the Noah Junior Regular Army. But however, during the press conference, he was confronted by Nosawa Rangai. Now, he wasn't scheduled to be there, but he challenged Rob Van Dam into a hardcore match. Now, he is set to return to Pro Wrestling Noah in July. And of course, Rob Van Dam has accepted. I haven't seen yet Cyber Fight, but this is good news, and basically I'm kind of curious in every aspect about this. Once I see Cyber Fight, I'll give you guys my, but right now they're having a hard time trying to upload it into, of course, the Watch Pro Wrestling Live, which I'm kind of waiting for that to be uploaded. Now, in pertaining to Pro Wrestling Noah recently, Keiji Muduk has come out and he's saying he is going through his retirement. Now, some of you are saying, really? What's going on? Well, according to him, this is not a choice that he made. Doctors made him this choice. Apparently, they're saying that his hip has been deformed and he needs a replacement. But however, after the surgery, he cannot continue wrestling. So it kind of made more sense right there. I'm sure he's disappointed. He wants to wrestle at whatever age he is in. But now Michi Marufuji vowed to return, either to have been in a match with Mutoh before, one last match before release. As you know, now Michi Marufuji is out, but there's that. But he said that between now all the way to spring, he will only have 5 matches. So it would make absolute sense right there. Now, a final update for those who are Ninja Mack fans. It has been announced by big news that he will making his appearance in Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling. Now, there is no specific date yet when he'll be or who will be his opponent. So I'm kind of excited for this, but we'll see where they're going to go. So I think that's pretty much it right now. So I believe it's time for me to call it a day. Well, once again, I apologize to everyone. I wish I could have done AW Rampage and NXT Level Up, but it's not. There is the NWA always ready. I haven't seen yet. I'm debating whether to watch it or not, but we'll see. And there's other events such as Wrestling Revolver. Trying to remember what other events. There's still some wrestling events I haven't seen yet. So I think I might have not seen 2 Tokyo Pro Wrestling events, All Japan, Dragon Gate, possibly a Dragon Noah, and a couple of Yoshi promotions I haven't seen yet either. I'm trying to catch up with everything. But I am going to do Dark Elevation for the next episode. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the next one. So I'll keep everybody surprised to see what happens. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.